Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new podcast episode, Financial Education for Teenagers, on every Thursday at 7 p.m. UK time. We are preparing for the meeting. We'll be soon with our guest as well. Wonderful weather today in London. Let's see. I'm waiting for my guest today to ask me some questions, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Okay, let me see here. Let's see our guest today. Nice weather today. Wonderful. Let me see here. I think you're on mute.
Hello.
Hello, Wojciech. Welcome back. And
Hello.
we are live on YouTube as well. So
wonderful. Could you allow me to record as well?
Yeah, just a second. 1 second, please. I think it's easier for both of us.
Yeah, I like it because it allows me to put it up, much quicker online.
Yes, because otherwise it takes too long after that to save it and uploading, and then too much of a headache.
How are you, my friend, today? How are you today?
All good, excited about the today episode, and I was giving a thought about what we discussed today, and I think it's interesting because it maybe could be an eye-opening for some people to understand how pension work and how all the questions that you might have, because when I started this journey, I didn't realize that we are sometimes kept in blind, and we don't understand how really money works.
Yeah. For me, I mean, this is a subject that I think many young people don't even talk about in terms like I remember my attitude when 4 years ago I had a first, full-time job, and I was given this pension paper to fill out, and I was thinking, well, pension is a scam. I'm not gonna get any money from it. This is silly. They're gonna take my money. I'm not signing this. I called my father and I said, like, what's the point? I don't know where I'm gonna be. And it's just out of, I don't know whether or not that was a good decision, but it was lack of any knowledge whatsoever that made me react like that. It was like a sort of a bit of a shock that I was just not ready to take any action on. And quite frankly, out of 5 of us in the team, because that was like 5 young graduates joining the company, out of 5 of us, only 1 signed to join. The other 4 assumed that this is not, necessary, or this is a scam or whatnot. And I think this comes just from lack of understanding and not even considering, because as you said, no one really teaches us that. This is yet another of the topics that I think many people here joining today are going to be feeling like, okay, I've never talked about the pension before. And the way that pension is sort of in our psyche, I think at the back of our mind, is how it was for our grandparents and parents. Whereas the pension that we're going to be talking about here is no longer the same pension. It's a different approach, and we have to adapt to the situation. So I'm prepared to take notes, looking forward to it.
Amazing. I think it's important to understand that what really the pension is. For example, in order to understand, because in order to understand how to prepare better for your future, and I think it's important to have a balanced opinion. If you know more about how the pension system works, and you understand more about like different different objectives that you might set up for yourself, and also you understand about your risk profile, and about how educated you become in order to make more informed decisions. Because if you don't become financially educated, someone else will make decisions for you, and
Yeah, no, that's really quite a statement there. Like if we don't know about something, then someone else is probably pulling the strings for us. I think this applies to most of the stuff in life, really, that knowledge is obviously just a potential power, in terms that if you don't use it, then it just becomes this, a thing on a shelf that gets dusty. But in terms of acting upon it, if you do not know and the other person knows, they will take advantage, and not in a malicious way. I think it's just in a best way that they find suitable, and not necessarily this is the best way for you. It's just because everyone is living a different life, and if you're not paying someone else to do it for you, then they're probably gonna do it the least how do you call it, like the path of least resistance. The easier way is the best way, because then you don't have to do the most, you know.
Yeah, but by the end of the time, I think this is a personal decision, you know, and I think you need to understand what kind of personality I am, what kind of risk appetite I have, because if you understand, if you become educated and you understand the risks and you understand how the things really works, in this case, at least you make more informed decisions and you see, okay, what is working for me? How much time do I have available to teach myself, to train myself? Because if you don't have time, in this case, better you pay someone else to do it in your place, but which is more expensive. But if you learn how to do it yourself, at least you become wiser, and then you understand more about what will be the benefits of knowing more about how the system works. Because this is the main thing. It's about information at the right time. This is what really matters.
Definitely, I think what you said there is a bit. It's a big topic. You know, it's like on one hand, you can delegate and you can just not take into account what, you know, just I pay you to do something for me and I don't care. But I think the best way is to know at least a little bit about it, because ultimately you're paying someone for a service, but if you don't know exactly what they are supposed to do for you, how do you know whether or not you're even getting what you asked for? It's almost like going to a shop to look for a phone, but you've never seen a phone before. Someone can sell you anything.
Yes, indeed. And also, if you don't know how to look at the financial projections of anything that you choose, it's like you are blind, you know, because you don't really understand what you're looking at. And everything, it's about like the maintenance fees when you speak about pensions, how much it will cost you per year to maintain the pension, and because everything have a cost. So I think it's important to understand that what will be the cost reward balance. Am I paying someone else more maybe, and they provide a better return on investment, or am I doing myself and I'm looking for cheap stuff but low results? So it's important to understand what do you really what you are looking at, so, and what kind of personality you are. You like risks or you don't like risk? Because if you don't like risk, you go for the products that are safer, and nothing is safe that are safer, but not everything is safe. Let's see that Jakub is here to welcome him.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Jakub. Welcome.
Hello.
I think he's connecting now. He's on mute, and you need to unmute yourself, Jakub, and also put yourself on video. Make sure that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, nice. Can you see me?
Yeah, welcome back.
Nice.
Hello.
Good to see you guys once again.
Nice to see you. How are you?
I am doing great. Got back from work, had a nice productive day, busy at work, so ready to learn something about pensions and how they're scamming me.
Amazing.
Yes.
I wish I had. Yes, tell me. Sorry, Wojtek, continue.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask at this point, Kuba, do you have a pension signed up? Because, you know, last time.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure in the NHS there's a pension, but it's called, it comes under superannuation on the payslip. Well, so it sounds fancier, I guess.
Well, what we'll find out today, you'll find out about different types of pensions. I do not know if you knew that you have 3 types of pension.
Oh no, I know nothing about pensions, so I can't wait.
Okay, so
wait,
Tomek,
okay, I'll just find a notebook real quick and something to write with.
Awesome,
of course.
Welcome, no Tomek. You can unmute yourself and you can put yourself on video. Make sure that you address yourself. We are live on you. We are live on YouTube as well. So
yeah, I believe Tomek at this point has he's been lucky enough to keep the face, and the stitches are out. So I think he actually looks as handsome as he looked before. So no worry. Risk there.
This is not a beauty contest. Don't worry. We don't judge you.
Okay. Yeah. Hello. I'll show up in a second. but also looking for a notebook or something like that.
Oh, wonderful.
Well done. Yeah. Well done. How is your day?
Yeah, very well, very well. Actually, did a figure today, and I'm quite okay.
Oh, what he means by that is he made one of his products.
Amazing, amazing. This means that you know more about, you become successful and you start tasting the success, which is good. And it's important to plan as well for what are the next steps.
Definitely. To lie down on the beach in 10 years and not have to work a day more.
Yeah, I think, you know, about this kind of concept, I think it's important to pay attention to what you wish for, because this will become a reality. And the idea here is about the fact that you need to do something that you are really passionate about, and that you do not consider it as being work. You know, you do it because you are passionate about, and because other people wants to pay you for your passion, because you speak from your heart. So I think it's important to do whatever you love most, and do at the best level, in order to make sure that.
Sorry about that.
Welcome back. We'll wait for another few minutes to see who else is turning up. Another 2 minutes, and then we start the discussion.
Ready. Sorry about the delay.
Don't worry. Welcome back.
Yes, great. We'll give Tomek 2 minutes more, and I don't know about my co-worker. I can hear her in the house, but I think she might be busy today. Let's see.
Katie might join.
Oh, wonderful.
I think she's talking to her parents now, but when she's done, she said she might join, if that's okay, to join a bit later.
Yes,
I'm very happy.
Of course.
I'm very happy. Prepare your question in the meantime. So while we'll talk, prepare your questions, and we'll answer to the question at the end. Because if you have any questions, maybe then you'll ask at the end, and I'll be more than happy to answer to you. And I'm very happy that I can add value and maybe make shortcut some period of your life, because I didn't know that what we're going to talk today. I didn't know that, like. I wish I had someone that will tell me what I'm gonna tell you, and what I would like to add value to you, because
nice.
You know,
Thank you. It's gonna be important knowledge for sure.
You know, the school system does not teach you this.
Oh, and that's crazy, to be honest.
And is not preparing you for actual life, what is right, and it's just the school system will teach you to become the best employee. But it does not teach you how to become like a master of your life, because otherwise someone else will be the master of your life, and you don't understand why.
Oof, I see we're getting deep here. I like this. But that about the schooling system is weird. Like, we don't learn about like pensions, taxes, none of that. It's crazy. There should be like a separate subject, like preparation for life, something like that.
Yeah, and I think should be a subject that should be from the high school start to learn about this, because it is not preparing for practical stuff. You know, I used to I studied in university 2.5 years, and then hello Tomek, nice to see you. Nice to finally see you as well. Well done. And this is a thing, because you are not prepared. You finish university, but okay, what kind of skills I have to talk with people, to understand all these kind of aspects, how everything it works, and what can I do the next step, you know, and what is value, because what is valuable, actually valuable. We have different ideas about what is valuable in our life, but we don't understand exactly what. Okay, so I think Wojtek, we can start, because it's a little bit late.
Yeah, I feel fine with that. That's okay, gents. So if you could turn off your camera just for now. We'll kick off with some questions that we've been preparing with Florin, and then later on, you know, if there's anything that you'd like to ask, keep writing them down. You can put them in a chat here in the meantime. And also, for anyone out there who's watching us live, feel free to check it on YouTube. We will try to answer it all. So let's start from the beginning. First and foremost, we've already touched a little bit about the idea of saving. We've talked about different options of investments. And for this particular session, we've decided that we're going to dive a bit deeper into the long-term investment, quite frankly, one of the longest. in those terms, because about retirement and pension, something that for myself at right now maybe less than before, but was complete black magic. I didn't really consider pension as something worth considering. And I believe that this might be a very interesting, session for our listeners out there, because we should start thinking about it earlier, and the world is changing rapidly. So what we're going to talk about here hopefully will give you guys some guidance on how to approach your pension, even though you're young and wild and at this point you don't really care. So let's try and jump right in. First of all, Florin, could you just remind us what options of long-term investments are there? You've mentioned that there are 3 types of pension. What does that mean?
So I mean the fact that we have 3 types of pension, which is the first one is the workplace pension. Basically, the pension that is set up by your employer, and it's for the employees of that company. This is that most of the people have. And as well, you have the state pension, which is a national insurance number that you pay every month from your payslip. This will be the state pension. And then you have the private pension, and this is a pension that you created yourself to a different private pension provider. And you decide in what kind of products you want to invest your pension money, and which is also tax-free money. So basically any money that you put into your pension is tax-free up to £40,000 a year. And you can put this as well, if you put it from your salary into this private pension, the government top it up 25% on top of the money that you put. So for example, if you put £40,000 maximum that is tax-free, the government will give you £10,000 in your pension fund, in your private pension, because you pay from your money that are already taxed. So basically, if you pay from your money that is arriving in your account, in your bank account, the government will top up your pension, which is very, very efficient. Or if you have a company, if you have a company, for example, you can pay directly from your company into yourself as a director of a company, and you don't pay tax on the company level because you put directly the money into your pension.
So a quick question here straight away. I'm thinking, is the up to 40,000 a year and 25% from the government, does that apply to all of those pension schemes, from workplace, state pension and private, or is it only the private we're talking about?
Okay, so we are talking only about the private. Because the workplace pension, it's a pension that is managed by your employer, so you cannot do something about it. Maybe, for example, some employers, you put 10% from your salary, and the employer put 10% from your salary, and in total you have 20% of the money that you earn in your pension, which is tax-free up to 1,075,000 approximately for whole of your life. So in all your life, you can put into your pension and have tax benefits and up to 1,075,000 for all your life. And per year, you can put up to £40,000 into your private pension, and basically. This will be the total amount, but the private pension is combined with so the total is for both the employee pension, what the employer pay into your pension, and what you pay into your pension. So the maximum is 40,000 per year.
Okay.
Per year.
Yes, nice, wonderful. So with this in mind, and obviously some of us, as Kuba mentioned, already have some pensions organized. I know that both of us hopefully are paying the national insurance, so we're hoping to get something out of that. When is the best time to start saving for retirement? When would you say, should we wait until that first job, or is there a moment that you would advise for young people earlier on to think about this?
Well, think about like an entrepreneur. So in order to be tax efficient, if you can live with, let's say like this, with £12,000 per year, and you have a salary of £50,000 per year, like an example, anything else, if you don't need that money, I would recommend to put it into your pension, because it's tax-free, and you also get from the government the support. So basically, the money that is entering into your salary, into your bank account, anything you put from that bank account into a private pension, it will be topped up by the government, 25%, which is translated tax-free money.
Okay, and what about, you know, in our first webinar, we've mentioned this breakdown of 50%, let's say that we're living beyond below our means. 50% of that is what we're investing / saving with. And out of that, I remember that only 10% was the amount that we were sort of assigning for pension. So would you say that we should still stick to this? And if we have any overhead, it's best to put it there rather than keep it in your wallet?
Well, I would recommend for anything that you don't need. For example, if you need it, because your pension, you can access it when you'll be. So for me, for example, for my age, I can access the pension when I'll be 57 years old. But and I do not know how will be for you when you'll be to your pension, because maybe you'll be on 60 years old, like an example. But what I want to suggest is the fact that any extra money that you don't need, and you can for example, you know that you'll need this money when you want to enjoy your pension more, and for example, and maybe help your children, maybe your grandchildren, and you want to be a rich grandfather or a grandmother, and you want to help everyone. In this case, you'll have the money, because anyway it's tax-free, like up to, for example, to 25% of the total amount of your pension. You don't pay any tax when you get to pension. So and the remaining 75% of whatever you accumulated in your pension fund, then you pay tax based on the tax brackets that you are. So for example, if you are under the 12,500, maybe you move in Spain, you move in Portugal, you don't pay anything. You know what I mean? And you can enjoy your pension, basically everything. If you pay maybe more, it depends on where it will be your residency, your tax residency. You know what I mean? So for example, if you move in a zero tax country, you can enjoy your life there, you know, because you move to a zero tax country.
And it doesn't matter for the pension where we are at the time when we pick up the pension. It's okay, for example, to have it.
It matters because you are a tax resident in the country where you live.
But we will get the pension from UK if we live in Spain.
Definitely, why not? Because it's the pension that you work so hard for it, and you put the pension into your private money. So it's important where you live. So you'll have the residency leave test, basically, and where you spend most of your time. This is what this is based on what you'll pay the taxes. So I think it's important to think about like an entrepreneur. So to have a portion of this into anything that is over your means of living, you can save it, you can put it in your pension. But then what I want to say, even the private pension that you choose, for example, because you become educated, and education is the most important aspect here, it's important to understand with my private pension what kind of products I can invest in from my pension, and what kind of pension funds I can choose that are efficient. And you also look at the tax, and you look at the fees, the management fees that these pension funds, these private pension funds, management companies have, and you try to have lower fees, and you look into the financials. You know, it's important to read the statement of the funds that you choose to invest your private pension money.
Okay, so this is the second stage of our conversation here, and actually this is something close to my heart because I took the first step the other week, sort of, you know, following our discussions and a bit of research and trying to just put myself out there to try. What I remember you've pointed out to me at some point, because there are different options, of course. There are bonds, there are stocks, there are index funds, then there are also the stocks themselves separately. And I remember you made a very interesting comment, and this was something that you maybe even mentioned on our first webinar, which was about the fact that because ourselves right now, we have more time to our pension than people that might be, I know, our parents' age, we should consider, you know, this is not to say you should do this, you should do that. This is, we're just giving you some education here, but maybe there is an option to consider more risky, more risk, more reward option of the fund, because we will have time to get back if this goes down. So can you tell us a little bit about those options and why is that the case?
Well, it's important, first of all, to take into consideration two things. First of all, who is me as a personality? Am I a person that likes to take risk or not? If you don't like to take risks, then you go for products that are less risky, but in this case, maybe less reward or even negative profit, which means that if you take into consideration the inflation rate, maybe it's not a wise decision to go for products that are giving you less than what you put in because of the inflation rate. You need to take into consideration on any investment how much is the inflation rate for that year, and how much is the percentage that I will receive interest. For example, give you a practical example. If the inflation rate is 8.5%, and then you have a bond that is giving you 5%, do you think that that kind of product is efficient for you?
We're going to lose 3.5, right?
Yeah, because the value, the power to buy, the buying power of the money is decreasing. So in fact, you actually have the impression that you win something, but in fact, your money will be devaluated. So it's important to look into all these kind of aspects and do your homework. And then learn about the market, the S&P 500. Maybe learn about how this kind of market works. Maybe learn about how index funds works. If you want a less risky type, maybe learn about like different kind of other assets that you have on the market. It's important to have a diversified portfolio when you choose. Even from your pension fund, you can still choose what kind of assets you want to have in your pension fund. If you have a private pension that is chosen by you, you have different kind of options on the market, and each option it's different. So it's important to understand as well what are the fees, the management fees that the management company, the asset management company that is managing your pension is charging you, and look also into this because fees are important.
And this is actually an actionable step, maybe, if you know, if anyone out there would be interested to try it out, even before obviously investing anything. The tool that I've used, the platform that I've used, is called Vanguard. I
think shouldn't mention this because now it's an education. It's okay.
Okay.
But
I'm just saying that you know, you can go on that website to see different options, and that's what I did initially when we've discussed this, and then I didn't know exactly what we were talking about. I remember I was writing an article for you about ETFs, and while researching ETFs, I encountered that website. I was like, okay, let's try to understand what this is about. This is like usually like reading any of the websites that you've never seen before, but of course, you know, there are different options out there, and we're not trying to advertise anything.
Just wanted to add here, Wojtek, as well, the fact that you have different options and you need to understand some basic terms. The basic terms that you should take into consideration, you should take into exchange traded funds, which means that it's ETF in short version. What is an exchange traded fund, and then what is an index fund? This is what another subject that you should dig deep into in order to understand how these two works, the index fund and the exchange traded funds, how they work, because they are different. And to understand what are different private placements, what means to have, for example, maybe commercial property in your private pension, and you know that you can have different private pension providers. You are not limited to one company. You can have 2-3 companies, but the main thing here is the fact that in that tax year you can invest in one. So in one tax year you cannot have 2 private pensions companies to put money in both of them. But next year, for example, you can choose to have a different assets in a different private pension company. different assets, for example, maybe a commercial property, maybe a hotel, like an example. And for example, you can be the partner of your own pension fund. What I want to suggest here is the fact that, for example, you have into your private pension that you want to buy a commercial property, like a hotel. And then this hotel, you rent it and you do a business with it. But for example, the deal, it's 500K, and you have, for example, 300K in your private pension. Then you top it up with your own money, 200K, and you have 300K from your pension, and you make a joint venture with your pension administrator. So the pension administrator that is managing your private pension, you can make a joint venture, you as a person or you as a company with your own company, and buy that assets, and you split the profits. Some of the profits will go directly into your company if you have a limited company that acquired together with your private pension. So basically, your private pension fund, it becomes like a different person until you you arrive to the pension age.
Okay, this is some complex. I will have to probably re-listen to that. So in terms of our young audience out there right now, and especially that we not necessarily will, as you said, we will not necessarily see the age of our pension coming about for us as it is for the generation before us, and it's constantly changing. We're getting healthier, hopefully, and that also prolongs the pension life. I wonder, what is your advice here? Especially for looking forward for our young audience of maybe approaching it step by step, or where should we even start? Because this is what I was talking about the other day on our video as advertising this webinar. I think the amount of options out there can be very overwhelming, and I would like us to not only offer education here, but also a little bit of maybe pointing a light in a certain direction to allow people to take that first step, to actually research and to actually make action happen.
Okay.
So where would we look for first?
Well, first of all, when you judge to open a private pension, you judge a company by the assets under management. So basically, how big is that company, and how big is the capital that pension fund, pension administrator is managing? For example, when I choose my own pension, I choose it taking into consideration this aspect: who is the biggest player in the market? In regards to pension, how many assets under management they have. So basically, how much money it is in their management. For example, my own pension company, they have 3 trillion assets under management, $3 trillion, which means that you have a lot of options and a lot of liquidity when you want to exit. Because a pension fund, you can have, in a private pension, you have 2 types of funds. So apart bonds, you can have 2 types of funds. You can have an index fund, or you can have an ETF, exchange traded fund. An index fund basically is taking the shares of all the, for example, if you have an index fund as well, it includes all shares in the market, all of them. And they have a little bit of portion of everything to have that's why it's named index fund. And an exchange traded fund, for example, you have different kind of shares. Like an example, for example, I have S&P 500, like an example, but this is not the only one that is in the market. We have also emerging markets. You have also European markets exchange traded fund for that is created by different providers, because each company, each assets under management company, they have their own they have their own stock options. Basically, like they have their own type of shares that they choose to put in their portfolio. The person that is choosing this kind of shares, or the companies, is the manager of the fund. And it's important to understand if the manager of the fund have enough experience to manage those kind of stocks, basically that kind of index. And this is what you are looking for. So you should look at two aspects. You should look how big is the company, how much assets under management the company have. This will be the first thing. What is the background and the history of that fund? You look into the previous 5 years of successes or failures of that fund, for example, and then you choose wisely. And the second thing, you also look at the fees. How big are the fees, the management fees? Because, for example, one company can give you a lot of profit, but they have or maybe they have too high fees. And then if you take the fees out of the profit, then you are not left with too much. So you need to have a balance between the fees that you are paying to manage your money in the pension fund, and also the profitability of the fund.
Okay, and here I think that was really, really useful what you said about the index fund and ETF, sort of deciphering a little bit those words. And I just wanted to ask you, do I understand correctly? And maybe this will help someone out there as well. So index fund would be a lot of baskets from the same market, which means that it's a bit more stable than an ETF, which is actively managed, but there is less of those baskets there to put the eggs in.
Yeah, the index fund is basically not just from one market, from different markets from in the entire world. So an index fund is not necessarily just confined by one geography. An index fund usually can have different kinds of assets and shares and stocks that are widespread in order to decrease the risk. An index fund is less risky than an exchange traded fund, because an exchange traded fund is actively investing and the risks are higher. This does not mean that an index fund is risk-free. You know what I mean?
Of course, yes. Nothing is risk-free here, guys. And remember our mantra: do not invest with money you're not willing to lose, or you're not prepared to lose. So one last question from me before we go into the question and answers, and hopefully we can dig a little bit deeper into what we've been talking about. In terms of this idea of dedicating our time to it, this is very powerful. Right now you're giving your time to this discussion, and if you listen to us in the future as well, this means that you've decided to commit some of your time to learn and hopefully grow in this regard. I wonder, what, Florin, would you, especially for a young person right now, what would you advise them to research or look as the tools or resources for in terms of the pension? And maybe there is a book, wink, wink, that we could also explore.
Yes, definitely. I think it's important to look into the because I'm going back to here the Bitcoin Standard book, because you'll ask me what is the importance of the Bitcoin in this discussion about pensions. This book is important because it will make you to understand what is valuable, and it will make you to understand where the human race is looking in the future. Like in regards to understanding the values and to understand the monetary, the fiat money. What is fiat money? Because the fiat money, the money that is printed by the government, is very well connected with the pension funds. And you will ask me why, for example, because it is important to understand that the money that you try to save, the government will print more money and will devalue it if you don't do something with those money. Those money have several options. The money do not need to sleep in your pension, because we are speaking here, for example, but you need to educate yourself to take decisions, to learn about index funds, to learn about exchange traded funds, to learn about bonds, to learn about different kinds of other assets that you can have into your private pension. Because remember, your pension is made out of three things: the state pension, which is the base. Then you have the workplace pension that is managed by your employer, and it can top it up the money that you pay from your salary. And then the third option, which is even wiser, is a private pension. But in private pension, you have more risk, because then you need to educate yourself and you need to take yourself the decision. Or there are some pension providers that they can take the decision for you. But guess what? They charge a premium, a high fee for this. If you don't educate yourself, I think it makes more sense to educate yourself and take yourself the decision and learn it than pay someone else and take the decision for you, because then you have someone else to blame. I think it's about yourself, it's about your psychology, and it's about your education.
I definitely agree, and if anything, I'm quite happy that you mentioned the Bitcoin standard, because I'm halfway through the book. I couldn't manage to get it all done before our session, so maybe we'll give a chance to our listeners as well to have another week to read it. I definitely recommend, guys, first and foremost, because it makes you a bit more aware of what finance is all about. There are a lot of interesting information there also about the economics. And if you've not studied it, and if you've not studied it at all, or if you've studied it only on a very academic level, you might be missing out on information that is very, very valuable, regardless of pension, regardless of ETFs. This is a bit, I find this book quite a basic. If anything, I should have probably read it before Rich Dad Poor Dad. Because the amount of value that the base value that this book gives is immense. So, okay, thank you so much, Florin, for these. I think for now we can let our guests and the audience decide where we take our conversation next. So, guys, do you have anything that you'd like to ask? Maybe you can turn on your cameras. We can have a little discussion here. It's nice, 4 of us, so it's an ideal Zoom scenario in that regard.
Okay, I do have a question.
Wonderful.
So with the pension, it was at the start of the meeting. We said about 25% on top from the government. I wonder if we are talking about UK, or is it spread wide? Like, what are the countries that deal with it like that?
Because we are in UK, I'm talking about UK. I do not know about other countries, but definitely UK. Basically, any tax that you pay, that is because in order to get the money from the employer into your bank account, you pay taxes, right, from your payslip. And these taxes that you pay, any money that you pay back, for example, from your own bank account into your private pension, the government top up 25% on top of the value that you put it there.
But it's a very good question, Tomek, and yes, if anything, maybe we can give a follow-up question for Florin from this, which is, do you know, Florin, because I noticed that, for example, on the pension that I've decided to put some money in, it does specify that I need to be a UK resident. And I wonder, is it the same like with credit cards and bank accounts, that we can invest in let's say it's private pensions elsewhere, or do we have to do it in our country of residence?
No, from your pension, once you open a private pension in any country of this world, you can have investments in any other country, but you need to pay taxes if you generate any profits. For example, we are in UK and you have a fund that is in the United States. You have to pay taxes if you generate profit from the shares that are in the United States. This is normal. Because the taxes are paid based on where you generate the profits. But after you generate that kind of profit is not taxable again, basically, because it's in your pension. You take it from your pension when you get at the pension age, and you can take it up to 25% of the whole amount that you have in your pension tax-free. The remaining 75%, you pay taxes based on your tax brackets that you are in.
Okay, all right. Kuba, do you have any questions so far? I have one more, but
yes, I do. So could starting the question, like, can you have a workplace pension and a personal pension at the same time? Would that even make sense to have both, or would it be wiser to like go for one or the other, or like can you split them up as well?
You can have 10 pensions if you want. And you can invest in all of them, but you cannot invest in all of them at the same time in the same financial year. So what I want to suggest is the fact that at the same time, you can have two pensions on any year. You can have a private pension and you can have a workplace pension. And you have the state pension because you pay national insurance number, for example, if you are in UK. So basically you have three types of sources of income for your pension. You have the state pension, is that you pay the national insurance. You have the workplace pension because your employer have an employees pension fund. And then you have your private pension, and in your private pension, if you become wiser and smarter and you educate yourself, maybe you make better decisions than your workplace pension. And guess what? If you resign from your job, you can put you can transfer your workplace pension into your private pension. But before doing that, you look into the benefits that you have in that workplace pension, because maybe it does not make sense to move your workplace pension into a private pension. It's still yours, but it's important to look into your workplace pension. What are the fees? You remember we talk about fees to manage your pension. Nothing comes free. So your money, someone else is using it to invest in different projects. You have two options. You become that kind of person, or the company that is managing your pension, basically the trust that is managing your pension, will decide what products to put into your pension so you can enjoy your workplace pension. But if you don't want to, if maybe that company is charging you too much fees on your money that you worked so hard for them, in this case, when you finish your contract with that company, you just make the transfer. But you read the terms and conditions, the small letters of the agreement.
Always.
Wonderful. And Kuba, do you have a second question straight away, or shall I jump in?
Not like my first question was about the thing that Tomek asked, like about explaining like the government adding like 25%. So you already explained that.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so I guess my question in this regard, and maybe just to follow up, in terms of because you mentioned that, for example, if we invest in a private pension or invest in general in a different country, then we pay taxes there. But I wonder, is it possible to invest in pension schemes elsewhere, or do we have to go, for example, for Tomek being in Poland, does he have to go for a Polish, agency, broker, or a pension? Yeah.
Yes, I'll answer to your question. Everything is depending on where you are tax resident. So if you are tax resident in Poland, you need to access a private pension in Poland, and then you can invest in any other kind of products, maybe in ETF, in any other countries, but through companies that is based in your country. Because you cannot open a private pension in a different country if you are not a tax resident of that country.
I see. So yeah, wonderful. Thank you. And if anything, so there are two things, because then the second part is, for example, let's say halfway through your life, you decided to move to Spain, and you're still getting the pension sorted through UK. And at the end of it all, you get it paid out as you are in Spain. And that's also okay, because you're becoming the resident of Spain rather than the resident of UK.
That's why some countries like Dubai and other countries are rich, because you take your money that you work it so much and you go and move your residency there.
Of course, because it's tax-free, most of it.
Just give you an example. There are also other tax like Cayman Islands or the British Virgin Islands, or you have some other option. Even you don't need to move from UK if you want to be more tax efficient.
But how does it work in terms of realistically? Would you have to live there more than half of your life to be able to do that, or are you okay to just be there for a few years to become the resident?
No, I think you need to have most of the times you need to have some investment there, like a minimum amount. Some country, for example, if you go in Portugal, you have to have a property of a certain value to have the residency there. If you go in another country, basically you look at the countries that are more tax efficient, maybe, and then you either become a resident there because of investment, or you become there because you move there and you live there.
I love that with Portugal. I love Portugal. So this is a great advertisement right there for Portugal. If you'd like to move to Portugal, get yourself a house there and don't pay taxes on your, or pay less taxes on your pension. Wonderful. Well, Tomek, Kuba, is there anything else you'd like to ask before we finish off today?
No, I think that's everything. I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch this because it was a lot of knowledge just crammed into my brain.
I'm happy that it was useful.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, guys, thank you for today. Thank you for the question as well. Thank you, Wojtek, for organizing this. Thank you for having me. And I hope it was useful, and to other people that will look into the future into this webinar as well. And looking forward for the next episode, and you can speak about some other things that we'll talk about in the next episode.
Yes, of course. So yeah, definitely. First of all, thank you very much, Florent, for sharing your knowledge with us, and answering some questions. I think this was really useful, and even just to start the conversation about pension rather than shy away from it. I think this is a powerful move forward. And thank you, boys, for joining us. It was a pleasure. It's always much nicer and easier to run when we have some questions that are off the bat rather than just from our heads. The more the merrier. And in that case, let me just remind you, next week we're doing the same 7 p.m. UK time. Also, if you've not, try to get yourself the book, The Bitcoin Standard or Rich Dad Poor Dad, and you have another week to read. I have half of the book to do. So I hope to make it in time. Thank you so much, guys, and have a wonderful evening.
Yeah,
nice.
Just a second, Wojtek, before going,
Yes.
I would like to see all of you smiling, and I'll make a photo.
Of course.
Please, Tomek, put yourself also on video if you want, and let's keep this for the memory and for history as well.
Yes, I will take the.
Let's say some cheese.
Cheese.
Peace. Cheese.
Nice.
Okay, nice. Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you for today, and
Enjoy
see you
your
next week,
night.
guys.
See you
Bye
next
bye.
time.
Thank you.